Okay, hello everybody. Now we've got our audio on and we're video on, and welcome to another of my live streams. I'm going to hide this screen because it's the one that's lagging. So the thing we're going to do today is we're going to do some Sakai coding. This is going to be a bit of a long series of streams because I'm going to implement an entire new LTI feature. I'm tracking this on Sakai's JIRA SAK-48745. Oh, hang on a sec. Let me get the, oops. Let me get that right. Okay, do this again. Okay, so we're working on Sakai again, and the open source learning management system that I work on. And we're working on JIRA SAK-48745. And this is a standard that I want to get implemented before Sakai 25 comes out. Sakai 25 is supposed to code freeze this fall. And so it's late July, early August. And so it's a good time to get this in, get it tested, get test scripts written for it, etc. So it's going to take me a while to do this. This is a specification from One Ed Tech, formerly known as IMS Global. It's a pretty good spec. I didn't participate much in this spec. These are Martin and Bracken and Eric and Claude and Peter. These are like awesome LTI leadership, and they did a really good job. The philosophy of this standard was really a good one. They tried to come up with something where what was really the minimum viable product for a groups service. So courses have groups in them, and those groups have all kind of semantics. Different LMSs have like groups and virtual groups, like all students and whatever. And the people who built this specification did not try to nail every single use case. They simply said, there's going to be a service. You can go into a course or a context and you can ask for the groups, and it's going to be kind of outside this spec what the meaning of those groups are, and so it's a pretty clean spec. And again, when I see a spec, I really like the idea of, show me some JSON. Always show me some JSON. And so here you see there's some groups here. Let's see, there's a bunch of groups, and then the users groups. Let's see how the set of IDs. I haven't looked at this in a while. Context group sets, group enrollment, who's in it, the members, group enrollments field can add it to each member object within it. The tool must specify group equals true parameter, get group enrollments. We'll work through all these things. Two actions or get requests properly secured by LTI. All these things have a JSON type, and so here we go. Limit query parameter. Oh boy, substitution variable, membership, course group IDs. Yeah, that's a substitution on launch. Claim. Here's the claim. And the claim looks like this. We'll probably start with building this claim and then unit testing the claim. That'll be one of the first things that we do. So claim scope, that's a scope you're supposed to call. It uses OAuth2 for all of its stuff. This group substitution variable, this is a really important thing. This may take a bunch more work after we're kind of done. This is a way that a tool can ask to be informed as it registers itself, to be informed about the course group ID that this launch is being done. So a group, often in a context of assignments, a group, there's like 30 students in the class, there's 10 groups of 3, and one of the students in group 4 is going to do the submission, and we're saying this is being submitted on behalf of group 4. And so that way the tool eventually could say, oh, let me go get all the groups, let me find group 4, and the student submitted, and then maybe these other 2 students are allowed to see the submission. And so if the LMS knows that it is launching in the context of a group, then it should tell what that group is. And there we go. That's pretty much it. And we'll be reading some of these other specifications as we go. So here we have Sakai, happy little Sakai. So where I'm going to start here is I'm going to go into basic LTI, and somewhere in here, actually I think this is in the Tsugi util bit. These objects, and so I'm gonna, let's see, what's another object? I think there is star claim star Java. Yeah, wait a sec. I did a find. Oh. Minus name star. Oop. I'm looking for, like, I want to build this claim first. No. But let's see, what do we got? So it's these objects. Line item, placement advice, launch, tool platform. Okay, I know that LTI 1.1 is a claim. Yeah, so this is what a claim looks like. So let's start by copying this guy. Copy to, and let's call this context groups. It's a claim, so I'm going to call it context groups claim. Yeah, where's the claim at? Where's the claim? Here we go. There's the claim. It's a group service claim. Okay, so we're going to call it group service claim. No, let's not call it a claim. Okay. Okay, let's edit this group service claim. No, what did I just do? Oh, I typed VI twice. So let's edit this group service claim, and that stuff is pretty cool. Let's call this the group service claim. And hey, so the next thing I sort of do is I just take this bit right here and insert it. I'm going to add the URL here. And then I'm going to I love to put the link to the documentation, although these folks will likely change the documentation. I thought that was a comment. I think we got one too many spaces here. So that's cool. Look at that. I just love sample JSON. Did I mention that? There we go. This didn't insert very well. Okay, so that's the group service and the group service claim. Is there a scope in there somewhere? Well, let's just put a few things in here. Doesn't look like we need a user ID. We need a context groups URL. And we need contact group set URL. We are going to need a scope. Yeah, I'm sure we got scope in some other. Find out. Well, is there a scope here? Okay, so I'm going to go down into the folder here. And I'm going to grab scope. Do we have a scope array example anywhere in here? No. Do we have, so here we are. Wait, not push D. Sorry, I wasn't even in the right directory. I meant to say push D. And now I'm going to do my grep. Please tell me we've got scope in. Okay, here we got OpenOIDC. I can look at this and steal some code. Scope. How does scope work in here? That doesn't even look right. Huh. Yeah, inconsistency. Don't make me throw my coffee cup at something right now. Buggers. So, in this particular thing, the OpenOIDC client registration, the scope is a space-separated list of scopes. It's not an array. Don't make me angry. Don't make me cry. But we're going to say... Sorry, folks. Just like, how dumb can we be? Okay. We just do this inconsistently. We never go back and fix things. But that's not really look, it's an array. It's an array of strings, but I think we have an array of strings here. Public list string, array list string. We'll do that. So in this one, it's an public. I do like Jackson. This serialization stuff is pretty yummy, pretty dang yummy. Okay, so we got an array. We're going to make a constant here. Let's find out how to do constants. There's no constant there. Come on, you guys. Let's see where we're at. Where would I have some constants? Grep Perl. Hang on, I'll be right back. What? It's in the... I'm back. Okay, we are looking for how to do constant. Oh, here we go. Launch JWT. That's got a constant in it. Public static string. Goes inside the class. I don't really know all that much. I just know where to look when I wrote it before. Okay, so I want to take this context. I may need to put this somewhere else. I may have a place that's all the scopes, but for now I'm going to just call this scope. What is it? I like to just make these context group read only. There you go. Context group read only. Now that might. Do I have scopes anywhere in here? Do I have a pattern where I'm... No, not yet. Let's look at this. I'm just looking for a pattern I have. Okay, so that looks like that is that. Well, okay, we're fine. You know what? Can I pre-initialize this thing? Let's see if I can pre-initialize this. Wouldn't that be cool? Because I'm never going to change that scope. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I am going to make a constructor. Oops. Public group service claim. Let's make a constructor. This dot scope. Is it dot append? Add. I mean, there's just, right for now, there is like no other scope. So we might as well just kind of build this. Oh, look at that. We can also like cheat on service versions. So service versions, it's going to be really easy. We're going to make this really nice. Service versions and this dot service. Oh, no. I'm not going to make a constant for 1.0. You can hit me up in the comments if you think I should make a constant for 1.0. It's never going to change. And by the time that has to change, this is pretty simple. This is pretty useful. I mean, it's going to pre-build the scope for everything we're going to need for it, because those are just basically hard-coded constants in the spec and the service versions. And so we just got to put in the context groups URL, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a test. So I'm going to do popd, and I'm going to find like star test star Java. See if that works. Okay, so we're going to, no, that did not work. I forget putting the name on there. I'm getting lazy. In the old days, you had to put single quotes around this, and I'm getting lazy in my old age. Okay, so let's just grab one of these unit tests and make a copy of it. It's in this place right here. Let me make sure that I'm in there. I should add some more tests like this. Do I not have an LTI 1.1 transition unit test? Chuck? Bad Chuck. Where are we here? go into the unit test folder. Yeah, I could use a few more unit tests. So in these objects, I've got like, yeah, I could use some more unit tests. Hey, if someone wants to become a Sakai contributor and write me some unit tests in this space, have at it. That's a note to self. That's a good first issue kind of thing, is build me some unit tests, because you could follow what I'm doing right here and build some unit tests. You know, I don't even know if people are watching me right now. Let me check that. Let me check if people are watching. I got 8 views total, current users 0, so no one's watching right now. Yep, and Java is not my favorite programming language. Okay, we'll just leave that over there because it's not distracting to me now. Okay, so we're in here. I could use some help. I could use some contribs to improve this stuff. Note to self. Tsugi util unit tests. Okay. I'm always looking for good things that developers can write. So here we go. Where are we at? The tests. PWD. We're in the tests. Let's just take. Doesn't matter. Let's take a simple one. No, let's not take a simple one. Let's test the key set test. That probably have some imports in it that'll be useful to us. And we're going to call this group service test.java. I always like type a CP so I don't say exclamation CP and run that thing again after I've edited this thing so long. Group service test. Group service test. Group service test. Okay, I don't need none of this. We'll see if I need any of that stuff. Put these up here because it's all unit tests. Okay, so I'll do a thing called simple test constructor, but I will type it better. Constructor. Yeah. And I'm going to import org Tsugi LTI object group service. Whoop. I'm sure some people are like, if you just had a better IDE, you would be so much happier. Yeah, and then that IDE would change or start costing money, and then I'm like, oh, use VI. Okay, so this test constructor throws nothing. And I don't think any of this has any value to me. Assert true does. So I can remember what the asserts look like. I'll leave the asserts in. And then let's get rid of all these other guys. And one of the cool things that's cool, ooh, there's some JSON. So I can remember how to hack up JSON. There's a lot. Okay. Just leave this in here because I'm going to have to serialize some JSON. Okay, so test constructor. Oops. Okay, so group service test, group service equals new group service. Assert not null GS. Simple thing. Because what I really want to do now is I want to run a unit test. This is one of the things I like about unit tests is I am sort of in a place, it's got a pom.xml, but it's cool. I can always say Maven test. It's quick, usually has very few, it doesn't like affect my running Sakai. I can sit here and develop the crap out of these unit tests. I just sit and, you know, build all this stuff here and build this stuff here and work until this works, and I have no idea what I just broke. Group service claim is public, should be in a file named group service claim. Yeah, that's because we named our thing wrong. And Java just like exploded on us. But that's okay. You just go find the first one that goes wrong and fix it, and then run Maven test again. Compilation fair. 35. Return type required. Where are we at? 35. 35, go. What? Public. Oh, I bet I named it wrong. Named it wrong. Named it wrong. And you called me on it. This is going to take a long, long time. This is going to be a multi-part. 27. Oh, yeah, I got some imports. Something's compiling. Here comes a unit test. Yeah, a lot of unit tests. The Tsugi util folder that I'm in is code that's not specific to Sakai. There should be no mention of Sakai in this entire folder, and so my test worked. Group service test. I wonder if I can say Maven test run one test. Let's try that. Maven test equals, where are we at here? Oh, didn't even write it. Org Tsugi LTI 13 group service test. I don't know how to do this. Group service test. See if that does something. See if that'll just run my one test. It's going to compile everything, of course, but it'll run one test. Yeah. Nice. Note to self, that's how to run one test. Okay, so let's get a little more sophisticated in this test. Okay, so let's see. Let's try assert true gs.service versions dot length 1. And this is scope, because it's supposed to have pre-populated that array. Yeah, you know what? I could never tell whether I'm supposed to use size or length. Thank you, Java. Oh, gotta fix both of them. Inconsistency, frustrating inconsistency. Oh, not assert true. Assert equals. I'm clearly not like in the coding zone yet. It's early, second cup of coffee only. It's a Monday morning. Had a long weekend in Cleveland at the Python conference, which was cool. Okay, so that's good. So we got that. So we got to also then assert equals. Let's just do this. Service versions. How do you get an array? Is it get 0? Let's just compile it. Assert those two things to be equal. Now here I could have used that constant, but I really want to go back and paste that actual string right from the spec, so I know that I'm not, if I make a mistake on that constant, these are fun unit tests. Like, I just wrote the code, it stuck a thing in there. Let's just check to see if the thing is in there, and then we can move on to unit tests that are more fun. Yeah, that was so easy, right? Okay, what are we mad about, folks? Oh. It's this one. List indexes as strings don't work very well. Okay, so that's good. So we happen to be in this launch JWT, and we are going to, do we have to import all this stuff? Is this, do we import all these things? Apparently we're in the same thing, so we can add this right now to the launch JWT. I mean, it's easy now. Okay, so the claim that we're putting into this launch JWT is this claim. And apparently I got the urge to just put the constants here. And again, I don't think we're going to need these constants anywhere else because really they're just the name of the claim. And this is group service. I guess we're using snake case here. Okay. Because we're doing JSON-y stuff, I think now I can just run a full Maven test to make sure I didn't put any compiler errors in that. And I can go into do I not have a test of launch JWT? Really? Yeah, that could use some testing. I'm not going to do it right now. I'll get someone else to write that because it's a bit of code to do a nice test to this launch JWT. There's a lot of things to check in here. And we're going to not distract ourselves. Yeah, okay. So now we've got this, if we take a look at get diff, get status. So we got a new file, these two new files here. And we've made this group service, we've made a unit test for group service, and now we've added a claim in launch JWT. So that's pretty good. We could throw some stuff into this test. It doesn't do much good. We can say gs dot. I guess it's good to equals, and we'll just put this example in. Now I'm going to serialize this to JSON just for grins. I don't know. I got some good sample stuff. Okay. Group service test. Looks like I've got a key set test does it. JSON. Okay. And that's probably not the best one. Let's see if I've got some code that okay, let's take a look at this one. Okay, so let's go. How do I serialize it? Dang it. I just want to serialize a. Okay. I want to serialize Jackson base. Okay, how about that? Let's go to ChatGPT. Help me out here. How do I serialize an object that extends Jackson base? Yeah, we got that. We got it. Hurry up. No, no. I don't want to make jitters and setters. Object mapper. There we go. Yay, that's what we do. Okay. I should probably just give it the code and say, write me a unit test. Let's do that late. Let's do that in a second. Get lazy. Super lazy. Okay. In the test. And then we are going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're just for grins, we're going to say system.out.println JSON string. So we'll just, it's probably going to yell at me because I didn't have a stack trace. Why would it stack trace on this? What could go wrong in this serialization? Mapper. Oh, I need to make a mapper. What is an object mapper? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's save that. What did I do wrong? Oh, the object is named GS. Brar. I'm just going to say throws here because I don't think it's ever going to throw it. Rather than writing a try catch, you can tell me in the comments later if I'm wrong. If that thing throws a JSON processing exception, we got bad news. Boom! And there we have the serialization. And it looks good. So now what we're going to do, wagga, 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 lazy, lazy, lazy. And we can go string JSON test equals, And then I'm going to paste this bugger in, and then I'm going to make all the quotes backtick quotes. This is a pain in the neck. You know what? That's not how I'm going to make this test. I am going to go back to the spec, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to take this, whoops, and I'm going to join this whole mess up, and I'm going to take out the spaces. Taking the spaces out. So I like taking this right out of the spec, and I looked at how it serializes it, and now I'm gonna do the trick. Oops. I'm gonna do the trick where I make all the quote where I make all the quotes be backslash quotes. Do this slowly. Go slow to go fast. So now I've got this string. Got this string that came from the IMS spec. And too fast. And when I'm done with this, put a quote there and a quote there. And then join this little mess right up and add a semicolon. And then I can say assert equals. Assert equals JSON string, JSON test. So I just constructed, if all goes well, I just constructed my object that will serialize to the exact same thing as, I might have been able to change the mapper so I put new lines in and stuff like that and was prettier, but who cares? But now I should be able to serialize and get the exact thing. That would be super. Oh no, anyways. Okay, but was okay. Oh. Wait a second. Expected scope. Oh, that's because it only gains this little group's claim service when it goes into the launch JWT. Yeah. So I can't expect that this little piece will be there, and it should just be the JSON that is the inside of the claim. This. missing like a curly brace? I'm missing a curly brace. I think I'm missing a curly brace right there. Well, take your time getting this right, and then it'll just run in a couple of milliseconds for the next 20 years. And then we go. There we go. I can take my print statement out. I can take all these kind of comments that are just sticking around. So I think that that is good enough for now. Unit test. It compiles it, it hits all the object variables, it serializes it, and verifies that the serialization comes out okay. Okay, so I'm going to do something crazy right now. I'm going to take this launch JWT, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT I have some Java code and would like you to write a unit test for it. This is what I like about ChatGPT. I'll be using JUnit because I'm making it smarter. It asks me a question. See? And so I'm just talking to it, and it's like, I heard what you said. I'm like, yay, you're awesome. So let's get this stuff to be pasted. No. What did I just do? What did I just do? I did not want to do that. I want to cat it. And maybe I should start with an easier one. We'll see how it likes it. I mean, it's pretty smart, right? It's not that much code. Here you come, ChatGPT. Well. Yeah, there we go. We'll be getting a unit test for launch JWT. Oh, look at that. Let's copy that code and just put her in. Launch. It's called launch JWT test, just as I would have expected. So here we are. VI launch JWT test.java. Okay. Damn. Let's just do a Maven test. See how well it did. I'm a little more confident taking unit test code because, you know, a unit test that passes is probably better than no unit test that. Gee, what? Why would I want Jupyter? Jupyter. What does Jupyter have anything to do this? What is Jupyter? Please rewrite this piece of crap. without using before each. Don't need no what? Not Jupiter. Why are you using Jupiter? No. This has nothing to do with Jupiter. I'm going to run out of my... What? Jupiter? I don't want this test to use any Jupiter dependencies. Just JUnit. I don't want this. Why? I don't want no stinking Jupiters. No. Oh, I see. What's this Jupiter thing? How about JUnit 4? What version is this? What is this? What the hell? I don't want that. How about JUnit 4? Okay, let's see if we're there. Okay, we're using JUnit 413. Okay, that looks a little bit more so this is JUnit 4. Well, you're... What? I want to see it all. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, let's copy this. That's amazing. Please work. Please work. Looks like it compiled. Launch JWT test worked. Well. Thank you very much. That is so, that is so nice. Look what it did. Look what it did. It tested get display name. Look at that. I was looking at that code. I was looking at that JWT thing that I wrote called get display name. Holy crap. That's really smart. It really is insightful. It's insightful. It's so insightful. Just looking at all these damn constants and like how to get these lines of code to operate. I mean, look at here. Look at that. It basically set things up. Where are we at here? It made a role, an array with the learner and the instructor role, which means it's supposed to be an instructor, and then just a role with nothing but learner, and it's not an instructor. And it basically, if there's no role, I mean, you know, I wouldn't even have thought of that one. If the roles are null, there are no roles, but you're not going to be an instructor. You can be a learner, but not an instructor. I wonder if this is test learner. Yeah. I like it. I like it. Thank you very much, ChatGPT, for writing me a unit test. Maybe I'll come back and write a few more unit tests that way. Oh, hey, I know. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's see if the thing I just wrote, write me a JUnit for test for the following code. It'll probably write a better unit test than I did. JUnt. Yeah, at least it fixed it. So let's take a look at the group service code. No. Let's write a unit test for a new bit of code for a different class. This is why I love ChatGPT. I'm like, how would I explain it to Earl or Adrian or Kunal? Let's write a unit test for a different class, not the same one. Of course, let's provide the source code to this other task. Here comes your source code. You've hit my free plan. It's okay. Yeah, I'll have to say I think mine is a little better. Oh wait, yeah, service version. I like that one. Let's do this. Default constructor, I like though. I don't like though. Those didn't do much good. That's just testing. Like, can I stick a thing in and take it back out? That's not very insightful. Although this one here is kind of insightful. I like that one. Let's add that one to my group service test. It's kind of trivial, but yeah, why not? Another test. Okay. Is my Sakai up? Yeah, well, let's start her up. Let me start my Sakai. So here's another thing we got to think about at this point. And I have thought this through, but I'll just share it with you. When Sakai comes up. The problem is, when are we going to let somebody, when are we going to let a tool have this? Because we have this whole thing in Sakai, which is a bunch of checkboxes for each tool about which things they can and cannot use. And I'll show you those in a second. And I could decide whether or not to make this context group thing a separate checkbox in the Sakai UI, and this is inside the Sakai permissions, or if I could just say, if I'm giving them a roster, why wouldn't I also give them the groups, right? I mean, if I trust a tool with roster, wouldn't I just trust them with the groups? So, okay. Come on up, come on up. Should have had this up before. I was making you wait. So now we're moving away from the spec and into sort of LMS design. And all LMSs have to do this. All LMSs have to decide what kinds of things to give. Am I running? I am running my up, right? Yes, I'm running my up. Okay, so let's start Sakai and log in as administrator. So I go in administration workspace and I look at my external tools, and I take a look at a tool like this tool. It has these checkboxes. Allow the tool to return grades, allow the tool to create grade columns, allow the tool to provide a roster. Provide roster to the external tool. And I'm going to make it so that this checkbox not only provides the roster, and that's the names and roles, IMS names and roles service, LTI names and roles. So Sakai already supports this. This is part of the original LTI Advantage. And so we are going to include this. I'm going to include this claim and permit this scope based on this checkbox. I'm not going to add another. I could add another checkbox that says allow tool to use course, whatever it's called, course groups. Yeah, we should call them context. God, inconsistency. Allow tool to access course groups, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to add that. So we can argue about that later. So now we're going to dive into some Sakai code, and this is the Sakai code that is going to add cd dot. So if you look at the Sakai code, we are just working in Tsugi util. Tsugi util is the code that this could be pulled out of Sakai. The word Sakai should not appear inside Tsugi util. It should have no dependencies on anything within Sakai. But then I have to kind of graft, so that object I just made, the course group, the group service object is in Tsugi util. Okay, but then there is a bit of code that happens to be in basic LTI common that takes the Sakai information, like that checkbox, for example, and puts it into the launch. And so I know what the name of this file is because I work on this file all the time, star LTI star Java. It is the Sakai blti util.java. This is like, it's a static thing, it's easily testable, and I put a lot of stuff in here. And so I'm going to look at the launch JWT, and there's got to be names and roles in here. So I'm going to hunt down where I handle the names and roles stuff in here, right? And so now I'm going to say I'm going to add course groups. Okay, and then I'm going to keep hunting. So if allow roster and roster enabled and context ID is not equal to null, we are going to SAK-48745, add support for context, add support for course groups. Now this is going to be pretty simple because I just imported it. I can steal some code. Group service. Where are we? Group service is group service. We name the things so badly. So here's the cool thing. I got to put some code in here, but I pretty much. So I'm going to call, there's the servlet that does all these web services, and we're going to get in that in a bit. So we're going to just call the path in that be called group service. And we'll look at the spec. It's group. Where is the claim? Claim. Where to put the where's the claim? Claim. Here's the claim. Context groups. Okay. So groups / sets. Oh, so we got the context ID, groups, sets. So we tend to have a thing where we put our service name, then the context ID. So group service dot context groups URL. This is really weird. It's group sets. What the hell is the group sets anyways? Matches the context of the launch. I don't even know what the group sets are. I don't know. Hey, we'll figure that out in a second. So I don't like that URL pattern. I mean, I want to go to a servlet and I have the context ID. So okay. Context. Oh, look at that. They named it context groups URL, and then they called the damn spec course groups. Ah! Sorry, Martin. We can't fix it because people built this crap already, so we can't. Okay, let's go find the claim. Help me find the claim. Context group sets. What is a context group set? Course sections. That's Jesus. That doesn't make any sense. I'll figure that out later. I'm going to need a nap after this. The context group service, consider context groups, group sets is a group of groups. Oh, that's what it is. So we're not going to do no group sets. We don't need no stinking group sets. That's optional. Okay, so context groups, the identifier for the group, the name of the group, a tag, set ID, no. Hidden to learners, that's a good one. I think we'll just set that to true. User groups. Fetch the groups in individual user. We might have to do that. Okay. That's a user ID get parameter. Oh man, don't piss me off. I don't like this, but doesn't matter. Sets, group sets, that's another group. I want to find the group enrollment. There we go. How do we do this? Memberships. Within memberships. Oh, this is names and roles. So let's take a look at names and roles. Groups equals true. That and not. I wish that weren't true. That's going to be costly. That when I have to give a roster away, well, that's good to know. That when I'm giving a roster away, I got to put the groups in. That's why I guess I'm glad I didn't make another checkbox. I'm crying already. I'm just crying. This is the danger of me letting. This is the danger of me pretending to just no. This is the danger of me ignoring specs and saying I'll get to that later because smart people are working on it. And like, are you kidding me? Fucking kidding me. Okay, sorry. So I think. So this is going to be in the no memberships. Yep. And so this is an extension. If you want to get who is in what group, you have to call the roster and say groups equals true. You can't just say, hey, give me the members of this group. No, you can't. You can't. That would be efficient. But this is not efficient. This is terribly inefficient in the server. Sorry, ranting. I didn't review this closely. I probably would have ranted then, and they'd go like, Chuck, we don't want to do it that way. Okay, I already wrote the code. I'm like, no, you shouldn't have wrote the code that way. Okay. Calm down, Chuck. Calm down. Calm down. Just write the code. Just write the code. So the only thing we're going to do is this groups. Well, we'll fix the name and role stuff later. But a context group is just this. This is just the list of the groups. And what the hell set IDs? Oh yeah, that's if we're doing hierarchical groups. We're not going to do that. It's a marking group. Now that might be interesting. I wonder if I'll find out from others that there are a few tags that and tags should be an array. Don't make me jump off a cliff because you didn't make tags be an array. Jesus. Sorry, ranting. But all I know is that I'm only going to make a group service for now. I'm not going to do a group set service because I'm not making groups as part of groups. I'm sure somebody does that, but we're not. And with all that fuss, then we have to add one more line. That is the launch. So that launch LJ is the variable launch JWT. And what is in that launch JWT? What is that? Well, I could do get diff dot. Come on. Get diff dot. And I called it the group underscore service in snake case. And now I'm going to call it the group underscore service here and take that GS object. That was quick. I like my code, and I can't deny. Once you make this object and the JSON does all the work, and the JSON does all the serialization all the way down. So now I'm going to go to basic LTI. I'm going to go up, and I'm going to compile the whole thing, because once you touch that common bit, that's a jar, and I'll stop my fast stop. So I'm going to have to compile all of basic LTI now, because basic LTI common is a jar that touches all these other places, all the launching code. So I'm just compiling it. I'm going to drop my Sakai, take it down, compile this. This is kind of fun though. I mean, I talk a lot and then I add like 3 lines. That suggests that some of what the code I wrote was like half elegant. So if this works, we should be able to do an LTI 1.3 launch from my dev Sakai, and we should see this claim. Now I've got nothing. We might pretty quick switch to me working on the Tsugi code that tests all this to receive the claim, right? And do something with that. Yeah, that didn't work so well. Something went wrong. Course groups. It's not course groups. It's the group service, you knucklehead. / course groups. Hey, should I complain again about inconsistency of naming of this stuff? It's a course group service. And problem, here's the problem. Here's the problem. Just kind of give you a little insight. See, it says IMS candidate final public. This means it's almost done. Now the question is, will somebody bitch about this and say, we got to change this because it's inconsistent? And then they'll just go make a bunch of really tiny, meaningless changes to make it consistent. So just as part of engineering, this has been around for 2019. It's 2024. This is 5 years old, and they might still change it because of inconsistency. And so please don't change this, okay? Just accept the fact that it's stupid. It's stupid and inconsistent. I mean, I love the people. They're very smart people that built this. They're way smarter than me. And part of the reason that I don't spend time reviewing these things is I hate arguing with people who are smarter than me when I'm right. And I would point all this out. I would have pointed it out. It's taken me less than 2 hours because I would have wrote the code. I'd have found these inconsistencies. These are not inconsistent. These are inconsistencies that you just can't see. Let's start my Sakai so I can keep ranting. You're not going to see these inconsistencies just reading it. But if you write the code like I'm doing and you're like, I just imported the wrong thing because, oh, frick, the name's wrong. If I'd have looked at this 5 years ago, I'd have written the code 5 years ago, and I'd have complained fiercely to the other people. And they're like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, change it. And they're like, oh, and so they have whiny reasons why they can't change it. And then we end up with inconsistent specs 5 years later, and they won't listen to me when I'm writing code because they got too far down the road. They didn't write code. The spec is kind of in some state of whatever. I didn't mean for this to be just a bitch fest about how standards get made, but it is becoming that. So far, I mean, other than inconsistency in vocabulary, this is a really elegant standard. So thank you to all the people that built it. And I didn't have to build it, and I didn't have time in 2019 to review this. I was probably working on something else in 2019. Probably working on my C course. But now the goal is to start Sakai up and do an LTI 1.3 launch and see if the claim in just like how many lines of code have we changed? Just not that many. Git diff. Right? I mean, we do have 2 new files. Git status. We have that group service, but that's only a few lines of code. The launch JWT, that was just like a fun side trek on making a unit test with ChatGPT. Okay, enough sidetracks. Okay, let's do our thing. Let's go into Sakai, and I'm going to log out. It's going to log me out anyways because I just restarted it. CSAV, log in. We can pick any of the sites I've already got built. I should probably make a new site. Let's do that. Let's make a new site. I like naming the sites after the JIRAs I'm working on. Do worksite setup, create new site. This is going to be my SAK-48745 site. Its title is SAK-48745. We're going to need, I don't know, we'll put some assignments in. We'll put, let's go ahead and put some lessons in. Let's put the gradebook in, and for now that's probably enough. Actually, we could put this guy in. That's some code I recently fixed. I think it's in master, so we'll play with that too. Oh no, that's a LTI 1.1 test. I don't want that. Because this is not going to work in LTI 1.1. I always allow my users to join the site so that if I need to see a student variation of this thing, I can do that. And I'm going to need to add a bunch of students. Okay, so it's a pin site, and so Let's just go ahead and do this in lessons. Let's add a learning app. Hey, it's my new thing that makes this. I love this new user interface. Let's go with the breakout tool. Nah, let's not do the breakout tool. That would be fun. It would be beautifully ironic. Let's use my LMS tool, test tool. This is my basically LTI 1.3 test harness that I've got written in PHP. And we will put this in. And so now I got an LMS test. LMS test. And it goes like this. And what's cool about this is I can look at the post data. And I don't have to decode the data. So again, this is my test harness, and it tests all the stuff. Soon we're going to have a groups button here, but for now we got to just get the. We got to see the launch claim. Is the claim there? So there we got the claim and role service. Look at that! We have got the claim there, and it's got a context groups URL. And I told you I wasn't going to do context group set. And there it is. That is a URL, and if I go to it, I'll have to kind of hack it a little bit to make it work. If I go to it, you're going to find it's a 404 not found because we haven't changed. We haven't added the code to this BLI IMS BLIS servlet, but this is where it's going to hit. Group service parts equal. Oh, it's like just an unrecognized GET request. That's what's going on. That's my error from this code. But hey, let's get going. So now we're going to move. I mean, literally, that was it that I had to do in here just to get that claim in there. That went in pretty easy. So now let's go. Before I go into the PHP code, I'm going to go into that servlet just a little bit. And this is in, I put this in BLIS, which is a stupidly named folder because it stands for Basic Learner Information Services. So I'm going to find to see if this is where I got it. Star servlet. Star Java. This is where I'm at. Yeah, that's the LTI 1.3 servlet. And this probably is going to have, let's go look at that data inside here. And let's look for names and roles. Names and roles. Okay. Get the membership list for a placement. And then we're going to add a new line. We'll do some stuff here. Course groups for a placement. What did I name that? This code's done. Get diff. What did I name it? Group service. Okay. So we're parsing it. The ID is that parameter. I think it's what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's the site ID inside Sakai. So I'm going to have to write this handle code. Handle. Names and roles. We're going to call this handle. service. I got to name. I got to not be confused by the inconsistency. Oops. So now I need to write this code here. So I'm going to guess that handle names and roles is going to be a good start. Mark. Oops, oops, oops. Damn it. Service? Is that what I call this thing? It's going to be side-eyed A. Hey, look at that. Okay, so yeah. This is a lot of code. So I'm just going to start by deleting all this code. Oh, it's a scope. That's where I put scopes. Okay. I'm going to keep a little bit of that code. I will be pulling some of that code back in. So this teaches us an important thing. So we got to find the Sakai access token. Oh, wait, what's cool, remember? Oh, so, okay, come back. So, oh, okay. So I want to make this Sakai access token. Let's get rid of some of these tabs. Get rid of some of that. Some of that. Okay. So let's take a look at the Sakai access token. But I'm gonna guess scope roster. Why is that in Sakai, as a Sakai named file? I don't know why. So this is the OAuth 2 access token stuff. We're going to have a token granting token. Scope roster. Oh, okay. So this is... Yeah, I got these things that I re-sign in a Sakai access token and I hand it to the tool. And so I'm going to just make a thing here. So I'm going to put one in here. What is the short name of this guy? We call it group service. I don't know. It's just something we're going to put in an access token anyways. And that is going to be context group read only. Yeah, whatever, that's. So this is going to be, oops, context. Oh, Jesus. I promise. I'm going to. I'm done ranting. I don't have the energy to rant. Okay, so this has to do with them requesting the scope, and so this is not, this is a Sakai access token we give back. It's not like an IMS access token. Scope context group is not an access token. And that means that they didn't ask for it when they asked for their token. So they got to know enough. That's just part of LTI. They got to know enough to ask for context group read only. And there's another place that I've got to grant that. So I'm just going to stick a system. It's one of the reasons I don't like Python, because I put these printlns at the left margin. So they jump out at me. Handle group service, site ID equals site ID. Yeah, it's just going to blow up because when I hit it manually, I'm just going to build it. So access token is in, that's in basic LTI util commons, so I've got to recompile it all. And recompile it all and restart Sakai because it's in basic LTI common. For those of you who are just joining us, we are working on Sakai JIRA SAK-48745, which is to implement the IMS course groups, or the LTI course group service. And we're doing pretty good. We've got it, we're compiling. If I look at get status, we've added a couple of files, a new group service object, and a unit test for that. Just for fun, we added a launch unit test. And then we've been making small changes. I mean, if you look at the diffs here, they're pretty small. Because they're just, I already got a whole bunch of stuff. Ooh, LTI 1.3 servlet. I got 2 blank lines. Where did I put those at? And while we're compiling, we might as well. Oh, that's back up at handle group service. Got 2 blank lanes. I'll get in trouble for reviewing in code review. So, okay, so now I got to restart Sakai. So I compiled just fine. I'm going to start Sakai back up. So when I'm waiting for a compile, I just kind of like, okay, let's do get diff and fix tabs and spaces and the kind of crap. And this is why I like put my print statements in the first column. They jump out at me in a get diff, and I know that I've got to fix them. So that's it. It's just not, so far, we're just not doing that much work. The work is going to be in this handle course group service. Like I've got, right, there's a big to-do here. Ton of things. Make JSON. So So I'm getting to the point where, and I still gotta come up with the granting of the Sakai access token, the granting of the permission in the signed Sakai access token. While this is starting, I can start to figure out where that's at. Okay, so let's just do a grep minus RL Sakai access star. Where's that at? Oh, it's in the same servlet. So let's look at this. Somewhere in here we're doing the granting. So I'm doing the granting in the Sakai add scope. Here we go. So here's the thing. Ooh, scope, names, and rules. If scope contains scope, names, and rules, return scope set. So LTI 13 constants util. We got to go work on that. Are we up? Yeah, we're up. Names. Okay, this is nice. Oh yeah, we're going to have to put that media type out there. This is the scope. Is this string right here? Where are we at? And then I just make this name be the uppercase version of it. So if I do a sorry, I promise not to rant. Promise not to rant. So 10-minute rant. Not happening. These inconsistencies are so easy to see when you're writing code. They're so difficult to see because in my mind when I see context I see course too. So the scope is a context group scope. And let's go ahead and put in this media type. You'll notice that somewhere in here I got a media type. Oh yeah, I got to get back to that group substitution variable. Where is the media type? No, context groups. User groups is that? No, that's not the user groups. That's not the right thing for that thing. Context group container. That's, yep, okay. So this is the context group container, which is the list of all the groups. And so I want to take the media type. And this is going to be again, I just like to make these constants capitalized versions. Okay, I'm going to need that somewhere. I'm going to actually need that. So you'll notice this is in Tsugi util. These are basically constants that come straight out of the specs, so that there's not in Sakai. So I very separately those things that are LTI and those things that are Sakai that are really just pure LTI, because this Tsugi util could be reused in any Java application that was doing LTI. Okay, so we got that context group. Well, we can test this, and let's watch this. After all that, it's not going to be very fun. I just made it so that this is no longer going to be an unrecognized GET request. It's just going to blow up in a different way. Invalid authorization. That means it got into I'm going to put a handle group. Oops. That just means it got down here and it blew up and said you're not allowed. It didn't even have an access token because I haven't built the tool to request the access token. I'm just going to this URL manually, and so it's blowing up. It's trying to get the Sakai access token from the request and response parameters, and it's not finding it, and just splat, quitting. Didn't even check. It didn't have an access token. So that's okay. It's good. So we're gonna make some JSON. Okay. So now what we're going to do, this is the part of the code where we're going to add a scope. And so if this scope that's coming in is the request from the tool to say, I would like an access token that grants me these scopes. And then what we're doing is we're constructing an access token. So you not only have to return which scopes you gave it, that's an LTI concept. Then I have to make an access token that has the scopes listed in it, and then I have to sign that. And so this is basically saying, boom, if the scope contains the LTI scope, this scope, if the tool is asking for this scope in its request, we haven't even written that tool code yet. And so scope, wow, that's a typo. Damn it. That should be scope, names and roles. Not allowed. There's going to be somebody mad about that. Okay, line item, scope, score, not allowed. These error messages. Oh, these are my log messages. Oh, okay, that's cool. So at least the return things are right. The log messages are wrong. So that's a line item. That's a line item read only. So let's just fix this while we're here. Just means our log error messages aren't going to work, aren't going to be bad. Okay. Okay, so now we're into the scopes. Line item read only. Line item. Scope scores not allowed. Scope. Result read only. Not allowed. Name and roles. Scope name and roles not allowed. Okay, so now we're down in the code. So this is going to be context group. This returned 400. They're going to see that in their tool. The tool's going to get a 400, and so I'm giving them a hint, and in that hint, I'm going to tell them which of the scopes they were asking for I was not happy about, or Sakai was not happy about, and chose not to grant them. So, allow roster, that's that checkbox. That is the variable that captures that checkbox inside Sakai, whether or not we're going to give them the roster. So they can ask for names and roles, and if allow roster is not equal to 1, I'm like, you can't even ask for that. I'm not going to let you have it. This is standard OAuth 2 stuff, right? So they ask for something, but you'll notice then that we have to tell them what we gave it to them, because that's a little nasty to not give it to them. You can not give it to them, but then if you do give it to them, you got to list the things you gave it to them in the response. The return scope is the response that we're giving. The tool is saying, get me an access token with these scopes, and we're going to say, here's your access token, and it has these scopes. And then this access token is going to become encrypted and signed, meaning they can't change it, and it's going to basically say, now that you've requested an access token, I checked all the security stuff. Then in the other code, I just have to check if you had context group. So even though I'm triggering this based on that one checkbox, I'm going to let you separately request the names and roles and the context group, and I'm going to give them to you. So you can have one token that gives you names and roles and it gives you context group. And so I can take this to do out, and now I can say, I can search for handle groups. I want to make sure that this is the one I'm using as the unlock, in effect, the security, because once you pass that, Sakai access token, what did I call that thing? Burk. Get diff. What I call it in Sakai access token. Where is it in Sakai access token? Scope context read only. That's what I called it. Jeez Louise. Inconsistency. Scope context group. I'm going to call this guy read only. And then I'm going to go so that's my, that just happens to be the name I've given that key for in my access tokens. That's what I'm going to call it. Context group read only. Now, and so that could be the same thing, could be different, but I have made them different. Okay, so that's context group read only. These two strings are not the same. These are not the same. They could be the same, but it's a way for me, I guess, when I'm debugging all this stuff, to know I'm looking at a Sakai access token. I'm not looking at the data coming in for a request for access token. That may or may not be a smart differentiation to make, but it don't matter. I'm gonna, because I could, in this Sakai code, could actually import the LTI stuff. Let's see if I do that anywhere. Yeah, I don't. So I could import LTI 13 constants. I can make this thing be the exact same thing as the standard constant, but whatever. I'm just gonna follow I've got all these sort of Sakai scoped, namespaced in a sense, so that I know what I'm dealing with. This is an internal grant inside Sakai, which is different than a request for a scope. It's kind of an internal scope, okay? Here we go. So let's see. I just made it so I can request a grant. Let's take a look at, while we're compiling, let's do get diff. Fixed a few typos. allowed for the requesting of an LTI 1.3 context group read-only scope, altered my payload, my return token, told the tool that I got that token. Handle groups is looking for that token, and then, you know, just kind of blows up and dies. We already worked on that. That's how the launch data gets set. Constants in Sakai. This is the constant, the LTI constant, and this adds it to the claim. So we're rocking and rolling. Did it compile? No, it did not compile. So we're in LTI 1.3 constants util 96. Yeah, don't put a single quote there, Chuck. Put a semicolon there. There we go. My coffee is empty. Let's look at the why did you hard code this string instead of a combination of a string and stringify JSON? I don't know what you're talking about. I think you might be talking about in the unit test. If you're talking about the unit test, I like in the unit test to be copying and pasting from the spec itself and generating the JSON with all of my Java objects, and then comparing the JSON that comes back from the serialization of my Java objects with a string that basically was derived from the spec. And it's just, and I actually had that string. It was printed out, and I knew it was right. But I just, in my mind, I just am trying to connect the unit test to, can the code that I just write generate the string that the spec has in it? So, yeah, so Java's not my favorite language, I don't think, but I don't dislike working in Java. I just know that it takes me a long time. But you'll notice that I'm doing a pretty significant change to Sakai, and I haven't even started the hard part, but I'm grafting in all these pieces, and they kind of go in quite nicely. And my confidence that this is going to work when it's all said and done with the unit tests and all those things, my confidence is very high, and I like that in Java. I feel good about the code. When I write in PHP or Python in an untyped language with sort of less rigor, I just am always worried that I'm going to introduce an error, and I want to test a lot. I want to do functional testing, whereas, you know, I'm pretty secure when I'm working in Java. It doesn't mean I don't make mistakes in Java. It just means I feel better when I'm working in Java. But it's taken a long time. I mean, I think we are how long into this? We are 1 minute. We're almost 2 hours. We're 20 seconds away from 2 hours into the stream. But I'm real happy with the progress. The next thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to. Just the fact that this compiles isn't going to prove much, because I don't have any code to request the token, and then I don't have any code to use the token and get the groups, and I don't have the code in the LTI 1.3 servlet to, don't do that. Handle group. So there's a lot of to-do code right there. That's calling a bunch of Sakai APIs. It's going to take me a long time to figure that part out. So the thing I think I'm going to do, as long as this sort of like isn't totally broken, is, and it's not, and nothing changed, but I now make it so that I can request that scope and get the scope back, but I don't have any code to request the scope. And so I think at this point I'm going to take a break. I take breaks when I'm happy with my progress, right? I'm happy with my progress, so I'm going to take a break and just do something else. Do something else with my mind. And and then come back to it. So I'm going to walk around and not at all think about programming. Not all. I mean, I will be thinking about Sakai, but I'm not sitting focusing on it like I have been for the last 2 hours. And what I've done is I've made it through some gates that I knew I could make them through, but it feels good to have made through. So that means I'm going to focus on the next thing after this. And so I'm going to come back in probably about an hour and pick back up, and I will probably start by working in PHP and building the test framework, the test tool framework in PHP to exercise all this code. So I think with that I will sign off for a while, but we'll come back with part 2. Cheers.